back to her parents and get the grandkids around.
I got
around
you.
her parents. So we just were trying to figure out what a good way to do that was. And she's a teacher, so she ended up interviewing and got a job at the Fort Payne Middle School.
Yeah.
And then and that happened pretty quick. We were like, oh, okay, maybe this is really going to happen. And then it was kind of trying to figure out what I was going to do. And my job when I was in Denver, I was the AGM of the Hard Rock Cafe and had been in restaurants for, probably 16 years at that point. And I was like, well, we could go get a job at a restaurant or we could try and do something on our own.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of came up with the idea of opening a food truck, barbecue food truck in Rainsville. And a lot of people in Colorado were like, you're going to Alabama to sell your version of barbecue, Colorado barbecue. That's like going into the lion's den.
Yeah.
I was like, well, if we're successful there, then it means we're doing a pretty good job. So we might as well try to compete with the best, I guess.
Yeah. So you grew up in Denver, but you went to school at Xavier, and you swam, right?
I did. I swam. My brother and I swam in high school. Our team, we were the number one swim team in the country for 3 years on PowerPoint rankings. And I had 23 seniors in my class, and 22 of us went to college on scholarship.
My gracious!
So we were a pretty good powerhouse. Regis High School still is a really good swim team. They're up in the upper echelon.
Denver
yeah,
area?
it's in Denver. It's a Jesuit school, and I swam for Xavier for a year and a half, and ended up having I had to have shoulder surgery, and that pretty much ended my swim career. But I got to swim with my older brother, and he's in the Xavier Hall of Fame. And swimming in any collegiate sport is just awesome in college. I mean, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
So you lived in Xavier's in Cincinnati. So you were in Denver.
Yeah.
You were in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
You went back to Denver, and now you're in Fort Payne.
Yeah.
So how?
Yeah. It's I like it. It's Denver had its I'm a big skier and outdoor enthusiast, and that was right in your backyard over there. So I've changed.
You got to ski a couple weeks ago.
I did. I got to ski.
It's the same thing in Mentone.
It is. That's right.
No, he actually skied down 16's T-box at Terrapin Hills.
Yeah, that was great.
He went skiing.
So I kind of transitioned a little bit from skiing to mountain biking and took up golf. And, I don't think, and my wife would agree with me, that we would ever move back to Denver. We would maybe move back to a smaller community in Colorado or somewhere. But once you've, coming from the outside and moving into this community, you kind of realize how special that small town feel is. And also owning a business and operating a business in that community has it's great too. So.
Yeah,
it's got a Mayberry feel to it.
Yeah, I see that guy, Barney. Yeah, man. I like he comes into the restaurant. I'm like, then segue.
Hey,
the Valley Head Mayberry Festival or whatever. I'm like, he really is. He plays that role really well. He even plays it when he's in the restaurant.
Yeah, he does commercials. Yeah, I guess he's in his commercials.
We need to get that guy.
I guess he still lives up on Lookout Mountain.
Yeah, he's an interesting character if you sit down and talk to him.
Yeah,
he's got a good story.
So how's your golf game?
It's getting better. I took a lesson, first lesson I've ever taken yesterday.
Really? Yeah.
So got some good pointers.
Get some things fixed out.
Yeah,
what do you normally shoot? What do you shoot around?
I shoot in the mid 80s to low 90s. Just kind of depends.
Yeah.
And when I started playing golf, when I moved back here, I was shooting like 120. So
there you go.
It's just nice to get outside. And,
it really is.
And I think we're lucky to have a golf course in this community as well.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And so full disclosure here, my son Isaac works for Justin.
Yeah, it's great
at his restaurant, and so we were watching the lacrosse, and I had to go pick up my other son at baseball practice, and Claire was going to go pick up because they were supposed to end at the same time. And Claire calls and says, I don't think Isaac's going to be done on time tonight. They just had one of these lacrosse teams. So y'all had that Bridgewater team come into the restaurant.
We did 55 of them at 7 o'clock. And we're usually only open till 8. But
did you know they were coming?
We knew they were coming.
Okay, so you had a heads up.
We did have a courtesy call. Larry up at Camp
prepare.
Skyline has done a really good job getting with the local restaurants and letting everybody know, hey, it's not perfect, but these are, and I think one thing that I really like about this lacrosse tournament that's going on is they are spending their money
Yes.
at restaurants and in the community of local restaurants, and and that's huge for us. That's
Yeah.
huge for everybody.
Yeah.
I know that they've been into Little River Burgers and Brews and Mater's and some of these other places. So it's just phenomenal to have that.
Yeah, and we appreciate them bringing those sports teams here, and that's what the whole new fields and all that. Because if they came back 5 years ago, they wouldn't have had that field the way it is, and drawing tournaments in. There was a baseball tournament going on the same weekend, so it's good that we have the rec department.
It's creating a good buzz. People are like, what is lacrosse? I'm trying to figure it out, So
you started as a food truck.
We did in Rainsville.
And then you just parked at different.
We were on Highway 35 and Old 35 in that fenced-in lot, and we had very limited success up there. One, everybody was going 65, 70 miles an hour past us.
But if they could smell it.
They could smell it, but by the time they smelled it, they were already past Joe's truck
thought
stop
it was
or
Burger
whatever
King,
down the hill.
Yeah.
We had people come by and be like, "Are you guys selling smokers? What do you?" They didn't really know what we were doing, and there weren't a lot of food trucks in this area when we were. That was a big thing in the cities. In Denver, there was food truck meetups where you travel around and 20 food trucks would show up at a park.
Yeah.
So we ended up closing that operation down, and then Tim Harris from Fort Payne Main Street.
Yeah.
He reached out to me and said, "Hey, why don't we try and move you down into Fort Payne?" So we set up just a block from where we are now, and it was a game changer for us.
I remember being in line at your food truck, and there was a cardiologist. I was right by him. He's no longer in Fort Payne. I hope he didn't pass away. But,
Be careful what you say.
Yeah.
Be careful what you say.
It's not the cardiologist we have now. But I remember him looking at me and said, "I don't need this either." But he thought about how good it was.
Yeah,
very good.
I wasn't going to leave the line anyway.
Right.
I've come this far.
Yeah, you were committed.
So, yes.
Yeah,
So I remember it didn't matter where you were selling; people were in line.
Yeah, we had it was cold in the winter, and the summers were great. And I think the food truck for our family, was a great way for us to put our food out there and kind of answer a couple questions. Can we do this for a living? Can we make a little bit of money? And do people like the way we prepare our food?
And you give what I call Southern portions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boy, if you get a plate there, it's gonna be that. And I'll eat the whole thing, but you can have leftovers.
It's tough to push back sometimes.
And they've got good salad, good healthy options. So with my dietary changes that I've tried to make over the last year, I can go in and get one of those salads.
We have a Southern salad, and ironically, for a barbecue restaurant, that's our second best seller.
Is that right?
Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah.
You don't see that.
What is in the Southern salad?
So it's a mixed greens. You get cheddar cheese, fresh tomatoes, onions, and microgreens, which are like kohlrabi, radish, broccoli, cauliflower, sprouts,
It's
sunflower
good, Steve.
sprouts.
It's good. Just
Is
know
there,
that it's
is there
good.
some barbecue
There,
sprinkled in there?
there is a little bit of pork, brisket, or chicken
Okay,
sprinkled on top.
Okay,
but
I'm back on
So
board
I've
here.
got
it's
an
really
idea.
it's really filling.
Stay with me. I've got an idea. So let me try this. Let's see how this goes. Hey, you're listening to Lunch with Bryan and Steve from the Roadside Q studio here in Fort Payne, Alabama. We just plaster it right there. It'll be real cheap.
Great.
We won't charge you a whole lot of money. We have the Roadside Q studio. So,
You do have customers interviewing you.
Yes.
so-
Yes.
but yeah, it's a great place. So you got a little time. We're gonna take a break, Miss Holly.
Yeah,
we'll
I'm
take a
good.
break, and Justin's brought in some food that we can sample here and see what's going on. So we'll be right back with Lunch with Bryan and Steve.
Stop treating your home like a storage bin. Make room for living with Wilson Storage. No matter the need or budget, Wilson Storage has the solution for you. They have gated standard units and climate control units. They have security cameras, alarms on every door, and 24-hour access. You can even rent or pay your bill online. Just go to wilsonstorage.com or call 256-845-1530. Wilson Storage is family owned and been serving our community since 1988. Wilson Storage in Fort Payne.
This is Bryan Jett, Superintendent for Fort Payne City Schools, and you're listening to Lunch with Bryan and Steve.
When you need to give something special, visit Tracy's in North Fort Payne. Beautiful floral arrangements, fresh or silk, stylish jewelry, scented candles and pampering products, cuddly stuffed animals, balloons, and candy. Tracy can help you put together the perfect gift and gourmet basket. Potted plants or hanging baskets with fresh spring flowers. At Tracy's, you're sure to find that unique gift that shows just how much you care. Tracy's is located at 2103 Galt Avenue in North Fort Payne. Open Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 5 and Saturdays from 9 to noon. For every occasion, visit Tracy's full-service florist, personalized printing, and gifts. With summer just around the corner, it's time to schedule your pool opening with Rawson Pools. With 30 years of experience installing, repairing, and maintaining pools, Rawson Pools is your best choice to keep that backyard getaway the envy of the neighborhood. And for all you who enjoy servicing your own pool, Rawson Pool has a supply store stocked with the highest quality products and materials to keep your pool ready for those hot summer days. Rawson Pool and Supply Store is located in Rainsville on Main Street, Oak Restaurant. Rawson Pool and Supply Store, the pool professionals.
All right, we are back. Bryan Northcutt, Steve Chambers here with Justin Christman from Roadside Hughes. Speaking on Lunch with Bryan and Steve, I ran into Justin. We were on the golf course, my wife and I, and ran into him. And I'm like, that's a guest right there. He would be awesome to be on the show. So just because of all the different things. Have you filled your brackets out, by the way?
I have.
Who you got? Who you got in the final four?
I got my champion is St. John's.
Do you really?
I do.
Hey, they have
Rick
it's
Pitino.
Yep.
It's going to be an interesting tournament. I mean, I think college basketball is my favorite sport to watch. I mean, I didn't grow up down here and have a football team, so you know, and Xavier is a pretty good basketball team, which they end up beating Texas, which
they were
Texas
down
has
13.
had. They were down most of the game. Texas has had our number in most tournaments. Texas and Wisconsin, we have a tough time getting around them, but I was excited to see them.
So the Johnnies,
pull it
you
off.
think Pitino? That didn't I hear that's going to be 4 teams if he gets to the Final Four? It'll be the 4th team he's taken to the final. That's crazy.
So it's Kentucky, Louisville,
and Providence. Where did he go before Kentucky? Providence? No, Rhode Island. Was it Rhode Island?
Providence, Rhode Island.
Are they it's the Spiders? Richmond Spiders. Isn't that who he had?
Yeah.
That's who he took.
Yeah.
So yeah,
They were in the Atlantic 10. I swam against them.
Did you really?
Yes.
When did you swim?
I swam 95, 96, 97.
Okay. I knew several swimmers at Auburn when Auburn was on their.
Man, Auburn's got
They
got a great facility.
Yeah, they do.
Great, I mean,
did you ever come down there and swim?
I didn't. No, never did. Never did.
I knew some of the guys on that swim team, and it was pretty cool. So
yeah, it's
drink a lot of water.
Man,
did you have to do that? Carry a gallon of water everywhere you went?
Yeah, and I would eat almost a box of cereal for breakfast, and I mean, you could just eat whatever you wanted when you were swimming because you know we had workouts twice a day, and then we lifted, and you know I was in pretty good shape.
Did you know what was his name? Ty Richardson. He was an All-American. I think he was from Indiana.
Okay,
if I'm not mistaken, but he swam at Auburn. I was good friends with him anyway. So, what you got, Steve? You want to ask any questions?
I was going to ask you a trivia question.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Steve's our trivia guy.
I love it.
Which is
it multiple choice or true and false or what do we got here?
Well, you're a little disadvantaged because you're not from here.
Okay. This is not going to be good.
But
it ties to you though in your restaurant.
Yeah, I've these trivia questions have turned into kind of having to do with our guests.
Okay.
I didn't really know I was going to do that. All right. Where you started up, your business that you said was a block from where you are now.
Yeah.
What was the name of that former business?
Do you know what was there before?
Well, I know Freddie Johnson owned the building. It was there was like a garage out back and a place where you could repair bicycles. It was a car dealership.
Now, John.
It was a German
John
car
repaired
dealership.
Bicycles there. It's the Firestone building.
Firestone building, yeah.
So you heard that?
Firestone. I think before that it was a German car dealership, Kaiser Cars. I had a guy come and tell me that.
I think he was messing with
Yeah,
you.
maybe. I guess so. I guess so.
That would not gone over in the 40s
right.
around here.
So we got Justin here, and he's brought us actually some lunch. So we've had Bryan and Steve the last 2 weeks, and now we're going to add the lunch with Bryan and Steve. And Justin has
Great.
been so gracious. So what do you got? Let's see what we got down in there.
I brought some goodies today.
see.
Feels like Christmas.
Yeah. Let me dip into the bag here.
There's the salad.
There's the salad.
Yeah, look at that right there. So we got now. This is called the what?
The barbecue Southern salad.
The barbecue Southern
Yeah,
salad.
and the meat's on the side. I got a chicken nacho here.
Woo! Now, Steve, that right there, chicken nachos.
And I got a half rack of St. Louis style pork spare ribs.
Ooh, Steve.
Which
I think I love you.
yeah, right. You know,
Steve's new best friend. Steve's starting his anniversary out right.
food speaks to everybody.
It does.
I will tell you that much for sure. So, and this is the pork. So if you were asking whether or not
Yeah,
there's
that right there. This is my favorite.
that, you
This
can
is
just
what I
dump
get
that
every
on
week.
there for me, Brian, so you can see, you know, that it's not just a salad
Chef
with a little
Brian.
bit of,
Yeah,
That right there, and that's actually
that's just a side.
a decently
Yeah.
healthy option for me.
Yeah, it's good.
There's some onion things. Is that keep? Yeah, I think it is keto friendly.
Yeah, it is keto friendly, sure. And then I brought you a half chicken.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's keto.
that's what I read on WebMD.
Some guy told me that outside the Firestone building.
All right, I'm about to.
And there's CPR instructions.
So we're
That came with the to-go box.
We are-
I didn't put that on
There
there.
you go.
all right. I can't do it, Steve. We got to try this. I know you're not supposed to eat on the air, but
Well,
we
you can break that rule.
got, Holly, you want one? Yes, you do. Come here.
Martha warned me of this.
I just want one of. Oh,
There you go.
yeah.
Let's try that. What you want, Steve? Let's see what we got here.
This is what we call social eating. We don't want
Yeah.
to be
Yes.
rude.
That's right. That's right.
Ooh. Well, I knew this was going to be good because I eat in the restaurant a lot. So
Yeah, we put a nice rub on them and smoke them on the smoker right out front. All of our meats are pasture-raised, antibiotic-free, and non-GMO. And you know, an interesting thing about our chickens, we get them they're tractor pin chickens. So these chickens are raised in this cage without a bottom. It's got a roost they go in, and the farmer just pulls it around different plots in his property. And if
Really?
you search it up or Google tractor pen chickens, you'll see like the grass or whatever rye or whatever was growing underneath there. Once he moves the cage, it's like twice as high as the surrounding field because the chickens are just getting in there and getting all the grubs and really aerating that soil really good.
Well, we want
cool.
the chickens to be happy.
Yeah, you got to have a happy chicken. You got to have a happy chicken. Definitely.
That's
Wow.
heat.
It's got some good heat to it. Yeah,
That's good.
absolutely.
Now, boy, that blow your dress up right there. Sorry, Holly.
This day and age, your dress.
that's true.
There you go. There you go.
I'm in the South, Holly.
Hey, you could be a national champion if you swam today. Just switch over to the.
Yeah,
The
right.
females.
No, I don't. Yeah, jeez.
So, you've got Everett and Parker.
Yep.
Heather's your wife. We talked
Yep.
about that earlier. Everett's basketball. Parker, she
Yeah,
runs.
tennis. Everett's playing tennis now. Parker's doing basketball, and she likes volleyball. So we're just trying to keep them really active and keep their grades up. Everett, I'm really proud of him. He's in the top 10 for GPA in the freshman class. So that's
Good.
really, really surprised because I was not a very you know, I mean, I got good, okay grades. My dad will tell you it was not very
You were
good.
cooking
but
barbecue.
I did good. I got good enough grades to
When
swim
you get
in
an
college.
A, you get an A for this.
That's
so that-
great. Great.
That's what.
great. It's a little redemption there, Dad.
And so Everett, the first time I met Justin, Everett and Isaac ended up playing on a soccer team at DC Inferno.
Yeah,
And Isaac was so mad, and they're really good friends right now.
They are. It's
probably
great.
best friends.
yeah.
But, he was not happy because Everett got to be the goalie, and Isaac wanted to be goalie. So that was a real tense time in the Northcutt home when Isaac was wanting to
Well,
play.
he's probably like this Colorado kid. What's he doing here, coming taking my spot? You know, right?
But Everett, Everett's come over a lot to the house, and
So
man,
as they get older, they want to be goalie because when you're going up to the rack, like, oh, I want to be goalie.
That's right.
yeah. So, but Everett's awesome. He comes over to the house quite a bit, and
Am I
he and I.
supposed to quit eating this now?
Well, I'm already through with mine, so there you go.
I admire that.
I got through with it quick. I used to teach high school, and this Claire it drives her nuts.
25 or 20-minute lunch.
25-minute lunch. So you had, and if you wanted any time in between, like before or after, you had to eat so fast. And I never got out of the habit. So I'll sit down and eat with somebody, and I'll be done before they're even halfway.
Right.
So that's just kind of how things are. So I spent it. Oh, good Lord. Hey, went through puberty here at 51. You all right, Holly? You need that water?
I need milk.
It's a little bit spicy. But I spent a summer in Fort Collins years ago, back in '93.
Yeah.
In fact, we went down and, God, we probably went, I think, to a Rockies game when the inaugural season was '93.
Nice. All
so we went down to Denver, hung out. We went and what did we do? We rafted was it the Colorado River that goes through Vail? Does that go through Vail?
It's the Eagle River.
The Eagle River.
Eagle
yeah.
River, yep.
We kayaked, or not kayaked, we
awesome.
rafted it and
Yeah.
spent a whole summer there. I
Were
love.
those major rapids?
They're pretty good.
They're pretty good. I mean, I think the Eagle River is class 3 at some sections. You know, class 4 is rolling pretty good. So 3's plenty.
But the weather there, like we stayed in a frat house at Colorado State.
Yeah.
And they didn't even have air conditioning.
Right.
I mean, you just open your window at night, and that was all you needed.
Yeah.
And during the day, it never got really.
You know, if you've never been out to Colorado or never traveled to that state or any of
It's
the
amazing.
Rockies, I mean, I think it's worth it just to get in the summer, in the fall, especially with the leaves. I mean, if you're not a winter person, you know, obviously I wouldn't go out there in the winter. but
I've heard the winters aren't that bad either.
no, I mean, Colorado gets like 305 days of sun a year.
Yeah.
So, you know, it'll snow. It's kind of like here, you know, like wait 5 minutes and the weather will change because the jet stream's blowing over the Rockies so fast that it kind of moves whatever's happening through there pretty quick. So it's a great, I told Heather I think it's a place that we'd love to retire in, or in and around there, but in a small mountain town I think would be more our speed than the city. So it's worth it to travel out there.
Are you a big sports fan for Colorado sports, Broncos?
I mean, I'm a Broncos fan. I used to work. I worked security for to raise money for. After I left Xavier, I went and swam at Metro State in the swim team to raise money. We used to work security. So when John Elway, when they won the Super Bowl, I was like, my dad, my younger brother, and I
against my Green Bay Packers.
Yes, we were Pat Bolin, who was the owner of the Broncos, his personal bodyguard at the stadium.
Really?
So we got on the field and really cool. I got some great pictures of like John Elway and
y'all
everybody.
were his personal security detail.
Not just when we were on the field, like he had his security guard, that followed him around. But we would meet him, outside when he pulled up in his Broncos colored limo, and we would walk and follow him all around we'd be up in the box during the games and then down on the field as the fourth quarter ended. So that playoff run was awesome because we were on the field.
That's
so
really
the
cool.
Broncos are great.
Now they're coming back now. They got a little
life
Auburn
in them.
Little Auburn University there with
Absolutely.
Bo Nix, so.
Yeah, and he's a Scottsboro guy too. It's
played
great.
a little bit at Scottsboro.
My
I
two
sang at
favorite
his dad's
teams,
wedding.
Auburn
really?
and Scottsboro.
I didn't know that.
Patrick and I were at Auburn together.
Sweet. Okay.
And we're good friends. I still
Great.
text him every now and then. In fact, we need to get him on the show one day, even though he's not from Fort Payne. He played against. Yeah, get Patrick on the show. Maybe get Bo. That'd be even fun.
That'd be great.
Bo Nix.
Oh, Bo Nix.
Yeah, I could probably do that. So
Yeah.
we still connect with there. But yeah, they're doing Sean Payton and everything that's going on there. Any off-season moves I've saw?
Are you a hockey fan? The Avalanche?
Yeah, I do like the Avalanche. I kind of stopped watching hockey after they went on strike, but this was in the 90s, but I've kind of started watching it again. But the Avalanche are a great team, and the Edmonton or the Nashville Predators, if you ever get up to see a game up there, they're a great team too.
Yeah.
And it's close to go see a game.
So have you been drawn into the Auburn Alabama thing?
Yeah,
it's
you're
kind of keeping it out there.
I try to keep it out there a little bit, but Auburn, I guess I would say I'm an Auburn fan.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah.
Sorry, Steve. You okay?
Yeah, sorry.
I probably wouldn't say that.
Yeah, right.
That's okay, though.
I know my mic just went silent.
Yeah. Why? What? How did you?
Well, I think some of the people that I'm friends with are Auburn
I
fans,
got you.
and
I
I
know-
went
I
down
got
to
you
a
now.
couple Auburn basketball games.
Yeah.
And my son likes Auburn, so you
So-
know maybe by default.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in this state, like the fact that we're interested in March Madness is strictly attributable to Auburn and Alabama, because 10 years
100%.
ago, before Bruce Pearl, before Nate Oates, you'd have had to remind me that the tournament started
Right.
today.
I did notice that when we moved here and set up in the concession trailer in town. I had satellite TV. I had like 3 TVs going for the NCAA tournaments. And I'm like, this is going to be great. And no, it was like ghost town. Like I ended up, I mean, it was great because I got to watch all 3 games. But, you know, I had set it up and
If
I
you
like.
could have shown spring football, you'd have had a
And
good.
yeah, right. And I think I even put out there like, hey, come by and fill out a bracket. And I think maybe we got 5 people to fill out a bracket. But now, I mean,
What's
there's
that?
like 6 brackets on your desk here. So
I
I
know
think
it.
you got it going on.
Yeah, it has been amazing to watch the run. It's really weird because it was either, and Steve's not wrong, it was college football, recruiting, spring football, and other things. So there's our new
Yeah, that's
Summer
it.
work.
Summer
workouts. Yeah.
All right, we'll have Justin Christman in the studio here. We'll be right back with more Lunch with Bryan and Steve.
Do you need to declutter? Wish you could free up some valuable space at work or home? Helium Mini Storage has climate control units available, and all their units are gated for maximum protection. You can also store your stuff at home with their 4 Seasons or Max Steel storage buildings for sale. Just come by Helium Mini Storage on Galt Avenue in North Fort Payne. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 4. And while you're there, be sure to check out play sets for the kids. Store your stuff with Helium Mini Storage.
This is Robbie Coker with the Fort Payne Wildcats, and you're listening to Lunch with Bryan and Steve on WZOP.
My Supply is my hometown hardware store. At My Supply, I never have to wander aimlessly around the store looking for what I need. I know that when I walk through the door, I'm going to be greeted by a person and helped right away. So whether you're looking for plumbing, electrical, hand or power tools, welding supplies, standard or metric fasteners, or anything else to help with your home projects and repairs, shop My Supply on Godfrey Avenue in Northeast Fort Payne. Open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. My Supply, your hometown hardware store.
All right, let me get this last bat down. Here we go. Hang on. Here we go. All right, we're back. Now, got it. Lunch with Bryan and Steve. Brian Northcutt, Steve Chambers. In studio with Justin Christman, not Christman, as Steve so eloquently noted.
For Christmas.
Takes a little practice.
How many?
This
What are the
feels like
different?
Christmas.
Yeah, we'll get John Smith next hour. That's pretty easy.
Yeah,
man.
that's
He's Natalie attired, I might add.
So how do you get pronounced?
Christman?
What's the weirdest one? I guess it can't be too far off.
I mean, when people ask how to spell it, I'm like, I just say Christ man. Some people have been like Justin Christmas. You know, I guess that's probably the one.
Yeah.
Totally misspelled it. Sorry.
Did you?
K-R-I-S-M-A-S. That's Chris M-A-N. That's how I spelled it.
KR. Wow,
KR.
that's interesting. Have
That
you
is
ever had?
interesting. No, never had it spelled with a K.
Sorry.
That's okay. We'll allow
can
it.
edit
We'll
it.
allow it.
Yeah.
I'll go back in.
I wouldn't have even done that.
God, Holly, that's way off.
Come on, man. You want this last one?
No, I don't. Go ahead. You have it. So, Justin Christman in studio with Roadside Q in downtown. So, lots of changes, several things happening in Fort Payne. From your vantage point, from a business standpoint,
You don't have sidewalks.
No, I don't.
you didn't get sidewalks. Didn't quite get all the way.
No, they did not. They did not. They
We'll
did
talk
not.
to John about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But have you seen anything in particular over the last? How long have you been in that store?
We've been in
4
business 10 years. We've been down in Fort Payne for almost 8.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and we've been in our current building 6.5, going on 7.
Wow. Okay. Are there
Yeah.
any changes, anything that you've noticed across the landscape of like Main Street in that area in particular?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some incredible growth going on, and it's really nice to see. When we first moved down into Fort Payne, I think something like 70% of the buildings in the Main Street
That's true.
area
Yeah,
were
you're right.
vacant.
Yeah.
And you had, buildings without roofs, buildings that we would look at and were leaking. And, I wasn't here when the sock mills left, but it's pretty devastating for the community. And I think that a couple key things happened. A partnership with Main Street, Alabama, the Chamber of Commerce, Jen, and now
what's her name?
Connie.
well, Connie's on Main Street.
Jessica?
Yeah, Jessica
Yes.
Townsend.
Wow, how did I get
They've
that?
done a
That's a
great
bullet.
job getting
Yep.
memberships up, and it seems like we have a clear vision where before everything was kind of done hodgepodge.
Okay.
And Fort Payne Main Street's responsible for the sidewalks, for getting the sidewalks done, and that
Yeah.
was a grant that got approved like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And then you're seeing, this rejuvenation of some of the people that own the buildings have sold them to people that are going to put money into them and fix them up. I mean, Jerry Clifton's done a great job.
Yeah.
There's several other people down there that have done a really good job, but it's starting to drive traffic downtown. I talk to people my age, your age, that on the weekends they go to Rome or they go to Chattanooga to go eat or whatever. And now I think with if a couple more restaurants get open in there, you're going to start seeing people say, hey, we don't need to go.
Yeah.
And if you can do your shopping locally, it just makes a huge difference because, when Mater's came into town, Rib Shack, it brings people downtown. They may not eat at my restaurant, but if they eat at Mater's, they probably drove by and saw us and like, oh, maybe we're going to try that place next time. So,
Or smelled you.
or
Yeah.
smell, with the smoker out front, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's
gotta help.
It's got to help. It's kind of like putting out the chum, for
Yeah.
fishing, right?
That's
But,
I mean, that's
it makes a
exactly-
big. It's exactly
That's exactly what
yes,
it does. And
Exactly.
you look at any development plan, and
I
it
didn't
is
think
not.
of it that way. But
It's not
Yeah.
competition. It's
Collaboration.
It's collaboration. And when they come downtown, I mean, if Mater's is packed, hey,
Yeah, there's going to be
roadside
overflow.
queues open.
Absolutely.
Roadside queues packed. Mater's is open. The draw of more people is what.
Yeah,
you're
and it
looking
just
for.
gives people more things to do, and there's going to be a wine bar opening in town. I'm
saw that.
excited for
Yeah.
that to open, and the more you get foot traffic in there, if people can park and walk to shop and then walk to eat, it's just creating a great environment. And the sidewalks, I mean, before those are deadly.
Yeah.
And now, it's much better sidewalks.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for the future of the downtown area. And I think, the city council gets a lot of blowback, but I think they've done a pretty good job. But, Main Street and the Chamber of Commerce have driven it. And entrepreneurs, people that are interested in, there's a store that deals in like board games and stuff like that, and they seem to be doing just fine. Fever Dream, I think, is the name of it.
Huh.
But it's people willing to take a step out of their job or whatever and try to pursue a dream that they have. So
Well, yeah, and there was a big move, and I guess we're probably 20 years into this where those old main streets were just drying up.
right.
And now you see a lot of cities, and I think Fort Payne, to their credit, has tried to do that as well, and bringing in and trying to revitalize that because it's a really cool experience. I love parades.
Man, we do it. We want to talk about parade, man. Fort Payne puts on a parade for sure.
20 miles long.
Yeah, right.
But everybody comes to it.
And at night, Fort Payne looks like a Hallmark card.
Yeah, I think they could probably stop throwing candy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it seems to be a lot of that stays on the ground, but I agree with you.
Yeah, I love it, and we, I'm as guilty as anybody of kind of just downtown snobbery. Just ride by and look. Oh, that's a nice store, and then never stop. And then I was just like, you know what? These people are trying to make a living. I've got to eat. Let's drop in and see. And I'm gonna tell you, if you haven't, and your store, I think seems to be pretty packed most meals.
Yeah, we do a good job. I mean, I think we struggled a little bit in the third and fourth quarter of last year, and I think a lot of restaurants did. But I was talking to our Pepsi rep, and he had 472 restaurants he was responsible for, and 84 of them closed in the fourth quarter.
Wow.
But that said, you've as an owner, you've got to be able to weather that storm, right, and figure your way around it. But I think lately, we're seeing an uptick, and I think most restaurants that I've talked to are also seeing an uptick in business. So
what was happening in the third and fourth quarter? Is it?
Plenty. I mean, it just seemed like, I think the
uncertainty of the election,
political climate. I think people were, just trying to figure out, holding on to their money a little bit. And, restaurants, when people are on a budget, that's the first thing that gets cut, right?
Yeah.
It's
an entertainment
grocery store prices, going through the roof. And, some of that is people taking advantage of the situation and up in the prices. Our restaurant, I mean, we've raised our prices 3 times in 4 years. So we've really tried not to play victim or, take a cash grab that I think some other places, none that I know of in particular, but
not speaking to anybody in general.
No,
just in general.
But you've just got to be really aware, right, as a restaurant owner that, eventually that dollar is going to be too much for your consumer. So we're trying to stay right in that sweet spot. But I think the outlook, for us and for Fort Payne is great, in the next couple of years. I'm really excited about it.
So you'd mentioned outdoor stuff. Is that your primary hobby of interest, is doing stuff? I mean,
I don't think
you got anything else you don't
my
swim
wife tells
anymore,
me, well, actually we're going to start a master's swim program at the pool in Terrapin.
Is that
We're
right?
going to swim three days a week in the mornings. Start
Wow,
when they get you come on up.
Really?
Let's get you in there.
Huh. Is that like an exercise program?
Yeah,
like
it's just like Masters is like swimming for retirees, for retired collegiate athletes.
That sounded.
Steve can do the backstroke. He can
That's fine. That's fine.
I got a pool at the house. If you just want to show me what I need to be doing.
Well, it's great exercise. I mean, you're
you're
working all the muscle groups, and it's low impact, so it's not like you're pounding pavement, running hard.
When are y'all starting that? This next pool season?
When the pool opens, yeah, we'll be up there 3 or 4 days a week.
Huh? In the mornings?
Yeah, in the mornings.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I may have to. I've always swam like a rock. I mean, I've never been able to.
Well, he'll teach you how to do it better.
And that's
yeah, I can teach people how to swim. I was a swim coach for a long time.
We don't have what happened to our swim program here? It kind of just.
Well, you got to talk to your next guest about that because they're not funding the pool this year.
Oh, okay. Is that
it needs some serious repairs.
Oh, wow.
So
that pool opened when I was a junior in high school. I worked that pool for 2 summers.
It's great. It had when we first got here, it had a 3-meter diving board on it. That thing was awesome.
I used to play Little League Baseball where that is now.
Yeah,
I did
but
too.
I'm older than dirt.
That was the t-ball field when I was playing t-ball, and then they tore it down to build the pool back in 88, 89, somewhere around there.
I mean, I think, having a pool in this community would just be unreal. I mean, Albertville's got a pool.
Yeah, you look around.
Their club team, they have like 300 kids on their team, and it's a huge draw. So, I mean, the swimming pool's got my vote.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
Okay.
Well, so do you want to try your nachos there? Or?
I'm afraid I won't get started. I can't stop.
Are we looking now, Holly? We got a few more minutes?
Couple more minutes.
Okay. Well, anything else you want to talk about? What's on your mind? What you got going on?
No, I mean, just come down and see us. We also cater. We've got a dining room seats about 50, and our patio seats 48. So if you haven't stopped by and given us a try, I think it's worth it. And again, I'm just thankful to be here. Thanks so much for the invite.
We don't want you to move back to Colorado, though.
I don't think that'll happen anytime soon.
Well, you got children just starting high school.
Yeah, we're here. We're here, and that's okay. I mean, you got to live where your feet are. So we're really happy to be part of this community.
What we wanted this program to be is to highlight not just your business, but also you and your family and what's going on in the community. So we felt like there needed to be a place where there was a voice for people to learn about people.
I think this is great.
Several things that I didn't know about you, and so hopefully we'll get some more sponsorships, and we can stay live on Facebook most of the time. So, well, thanks for dropping by. We're going to hit you up for some advertising here in a minute during the break, and then right here, Roadside Q Studio. Anyway,
Let's have you dripping off our I don't know that helps.
You might have to just black out.
Yeah,
the screen.
that's right. So first hour is over with Lunch with Bryan and Steve. We'll be back right after the top of the hour break, and you're listening to WZOB.
DeKalb Fix-It Appliance Warehouse is a mouthful, so Terry and Bobby have decided to drop the fix-it and focus on giving you the best prices on new appliances. Whirlpool, KitchenAid, Maytag, Amana, LG, Samsung, GE, and more. Up to 75% off retail price on new scratched and dent appliances. And as your Electrolux and Frigidaire dealer, DeKalb Appliance Warehouse is passing on more savings to you with even more new in-box selections. Need a refrigerator? Come in today and shop our overstocked warehouse. You will not get a better deal anywhere. We guarantee to match or beat any price. In-house service available to all as well. Used appliances will now be available at our previous location on Godfrey Avenue, along with the same computer sales and repairs our customers have come to enjoy. The DeKalb Appliance Warehouse is open weekdays 9 to 5, Wednesdays and Saturdays 9 to 2, located on Airport Road in Fort Payne.
So long. Cheers. Adios. Bye, Felicia. Don't let the door hit you.
More and more people are saying goodbye to pests with Safe Solutions Plus LLC. And it's no wonder with their top-notch customer service, quality products, and lower prices. And now with their new website, it's never been easier to manage your pest control service with Safe Solutions Plus. Just visit sspestandtermite.com to view your billing details, make payments online, and review past services. Family-owned and operated, Safe Solutions Plus is located at 934 Main Street West in Rainsville. Call 256-638-7378. Safe Solutions Plus, protecting homes and businesses one solution at a time.
Hey, then. Bye.
Stop treating your home like a storage bin. Make room for living with Wilson Storage. No matter the need or budget, Wilson Storage has the solution for you. They have gated standard units and climate control units. They have security cameras, alarms on every door, and 24-hour access. You can even rent or pay your bill online. Just go to wilsonstorage.com or call 256-845-1530. Wilson Storage is family owned and been serving our community since 1988. Wilson Storage in Fort Payne.
This is WZOB Fort Payne, 100.9 FM and 1250 AM.
All right, it is the top of the second hour. You're listening to Lunch with Bryan and Steve. Bryan Northcutt, Steve Chambers here in WZOB Studios, 1250 AM, 100.9 FM. If you are just got the website pulled up, you can go to WZOBradio.com, click the Listen Live button, and you can catch us there. We are finally back on Facebook streaming live. We're going to try to figure that thing out, but that thing has been a booger. Also, Holly has been archiving last week successfully. Hopefully this week it'll be successful again. Has been archiving the show on our YouTube channel. We have not shifted. Boy, better be careful. We've not shifted over to live YouTube, but we're live on Facebook, and then we're just archiving on YouTube, so you can go catch us there. Treat us like a podcast. Pull it up while you're out in the yard, weed eating and mowing. Pull us up on YouTube, listen to the show there. We're having guests from DeKalb County about DeKalb County. We're trying to make this informational and fun. Hopefully, there's that barbecue. Thank you, Justin. No, I didn't. So anyway, that's how you can get us. Go in there. I see Dude Perfect do this all the time. So I'm going to point hit here to subscribe. and hit here to like. You're supposed to dub that in later, Holly.
Right.
So
One more thing.
you can one more thing to do.
Holly hasn't got enough to do yet.
So actually, you can do that without clicking on the actual video. But if you will like us, subscribe to WZOB's Facebook page. There's ways that you can go on there, and then we'll pull up automatically. Let your neighbors, friends know about us. If you see us and have comments, you want to put comments on the live feed. Let us know how we're doing. I told Claire and I were talking this morning about it, and she's like, "Are you excited?" I'm like, "Yeah." I thought the first week was, we struggled with some of the tech stuff, and the second week I thought was better. This week I think we've gotten distracted by all this food, so it's kind of.
Well, that's a burden I'm willing to bear.
But Justin seemed he had a lot to brought to the table, so I think we're dialing it in.
No pun intended.
Literally.
Well, he did. Wow, I didn't even realize that literally was no pun intended. So, but we are enjoying getting to know you guys, and hopefully you getting to know us, and getting to know things that are going on here locally. So each time that I pass that new traffic light on the north end of town at Airport Road and Green Hill, it reminds me of the radio show that we learned that on the radio show. And then Walter Watson sitting right here last week saying, "Hey, there's some stuff coming." And literally, 3-4 days later, Holly, is that what it was? The press release of the new store
He
in
couldn't
town.
talk about it, but John will be able to.
Yeah,
talk
John can do the end zone dance here in a
He
minute.
can do the lap. Victory lap.
Did you hear what you almost said?
Almost. My
We
mind goes to dark places sometimes. Well, we don't want you to do that.
Hey, don't rewind that to listen to what Steve actually said. We'll have a meeting after the show.
It'll be lunch with Bryan after the show.
We've done a great job of keeping it clean.
FCC's gonna call you.
All right. So get back on track. Anyway, we are wanting to build this thing. We know that we're new. We know that it's going to take a while to get things going. It's so funny because when I get in the mornings, I'm like, golly, boy, we just stink on the air. It's just not any good. Ain't nobody going to listen to this. I need to get out of this. We can't. How many
Well,
times?
that's really encouraging, Brian.
Well, I just got.
Really feel.
Yeah, I felt good till just then.
This is inside my head. Like I'm not projecting out because I really do think that the show is doing what it's supposed to do, and I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun.
Just because our own pastor turned us down, is that?
That's right.
Was that
We can't get our
discouraging
own
to you?
pastor on the air, but we're wanting a place where you can come to hear about Fort Payne and know about DeKalb County and what's going on here. And we learn these types of things because we're bringing in guests and they're kind of sharing some stuff. And that is encouraging to me when you see somebody like Justin who started a business. And anytime you start a business, there's a risk, and you're kind of rolling the dice and you're trusting some things that you feel like you're good at, but you're not sure, and you're not sure if people are going to want it. Well, it's just exactly what we're doing right now. We're not sure how sustainable this is and if people want to do this, but point being, for you guys that own businesses and you want to get your word out, we would love to partner with you guys. Holly's got a one-pager on our advertising, and I'm going to be honest with you. As a business owner, it's not that expensive to partner with us. There's some very affordable rates to get you partnered with us on air. I'm going to set it up right after this program. I'm going to put a TV. We're going to put a screen right here where we'll have our advertisements. We can even watch videos and do some TikTok stuff. I think that's what the kids are doing. It's really cool. We can be relevant that way.
We'll get Sky Tidmore to do that for us.
That's right. She can send us. We'll have a text line, or we do the feed right here. We can do the Facebook feed or something maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are trying to broaden what we're doing. We've even discussed callers.
Yeah.
So at some point,
Yeah.
we're going to try to get some.
Soon. Soon.
I tell you what, Steve, golly, if we get a swap shop call while we're live on the air, that will be so much fun.
I'll be all over it.
God, that would be a blast to get a swap shop call during our lunch with Bryan and Steve.
It's possible.
That-
You'll definitely get. Who won the birthday today?
Yeah, and we get an anniversary, people walking in off the street for anniversaries.
A 40-year-old leaf blower.
Yep.
So that'll be a lot of fun. It would be a blast to hear from you guys most of the time. I think as long as we can get a good screener and make sure that we don't put some knucklehead on the air. So anyway, so
We'll
Steve,
see.
brackets.
Brackets.
Let's go to bracketology. What you got? Who do you have as your national champion? Let's go ahead and do this. You want to go ahead and let's bring John in.
Let's bring John
He's
in.
been sitting
got a
here.
bracket.
He's got a bracket.
John
so he's,
Smith, City Councilman extraordinaire.
yeah,
Thanks for having me.
we'll forgive him for having
It
that
took me
shirt
a while
on.
to get my Kaiser crank this morning, but I got here.
Yeah. I thought, did I sleep through that in the 60s?
I missed that too.
All right, so we're here with John Smith, City Council. We're going to talk through our brackets. Let's go south. Do you have a bracket filled out? You didn't even fill yours out.
No,
Do you have yours filled out?
I'm telling you now. I'm going to do it here.
Okay, so let's go. Let's start with the South region. So, Steve, you're going to have to
Auburn
do
and
this.
Alabama State.
Yeah, we're not going to fill it out on the air. That'll take
Okay,
forever.
well, I'll just say it.
But
I'll just say what I'm going to do.
All right, looking through that bracket, John, do you got any major upsets coming through on your South region?
No, I'm going with Auburn.
Going with Auburn all the way through? Yeah, I don't have any major. I mean, the only upset that I've got is, and it's not really an upset. No, you know what? I almost picked that, but I just think Texas A&M's. I hadn't watched any Yale, but Texas A&M can rebound like crazy, so they're a pretty good ball team. I saw somebody this morning had who was that? Had Auburn and Ole Miss meeting in the that regional final.
That wouldn't scare you a bit, would it?
Yeah, well, that'd be the fourth time Auburn played Ole Miss this season. But I got New Mexico beating Marquette in the first round, but that's not really an upset. That's a 10-7. So, and I do have Auburn coming out of that bracket. So,
watch Arkansas and Kansas.
is that in this bracket?
That's I might got that.
Well, let's go across to the East. So we got the East. Duke's the #1 seed. Who are some scary teams in there? The 2 is Alabama. Now, I'll tell you what. Alabama gets hot. They are tough to beat. If they play the style of ball that Nate Oates wants to play, they can really put up some points. So do you have Alabama coming through on there?
I got Alabama coming through.
What do you think on that? Do you think
No,
that's going to be Duke? That's going to be most likely Duke,
it
Alabama.
May come down to Alabama. Now, you got to watch Houston. They can play defense.
Houston's,
It
buddy,
depends
you're
on
on
how
the.
much. Depends on how much.
That's
they
not
let
even
them
the same
go.
region. Houston's a one down here.
Oh, okay, Houston's the one. No,
But
they're
you-
not one. I don't think.
They
Oh,
are.
yeah, they are one. You're right. You're absolutely right.
I got
Well,
Tennessee.
Steve, you're on top of it, aren't you?
Well, we're playing a cigarette.
So I do have an
team,
upset
aren't
in
we,
the.
Robert Morris. Seriously,
I think so. All right, so I do have an upset in this bracket. I've got Mississippi State upsetting Duke in the second round. I don't know really why. I just think that based on the Southeastern Conference preseason, pre-conference schedule and how well they did against the field, like against everybody else in the field. Of course, I thought
Duke's banged up.
Yeah, and Duke's banged. I think more on Duke. I think it's not as much about Cooper Flagg, but that other big man, Malik.
Yeah.
Is it Malik Brown? Is that his name?
Brown, I think that's right.
And he, well, he's big and he can play downside. And I don't think he's playing. I'm not sure. I need to look at his probabilities. But anyway, I've got Mississippi State beating Duke in the second round. I do have Alabama and Oregon in that regional final, and I've got Alabama going to the Final Four.
Alabama played Oregon way back in November.
They lost that game. It was one of their
They did
pre-conference losses, yeah. But it was close. It was like a last second, something like that.
Yep.
So I do have Mississippi State upsetting Duke in the second round. I know Duke, and I've watched enough of that to know that anything can happen. But I just think I think the Southeastern Conference has been that much better than every other conference. So I got Alabama coming out of the East. What do you? Let's look at the West. That's Florida's the one there. That's the St. John's. Justin picked St. John's, the Johnnies. What do they call the Storm? The Red Storm?
Red Storm.
The Red Storm?
I think you're
Yeah,
right.
they used to be something else that they didn't deem politically
It was
correct.
politically incorrect. That's right.
Oh, the Redmond.
Redmond?
That's what it
Yeah,
was
Redmond.
the Redmond, wasn't it? So they're the 2 seed. I don't see a whole lot that draws. I'm interested to see how UConn, they've had a struggling
They fallen
regular
off the
season,
face
and they're an
of the
8
earth,
seed, but Dan Hurley he's a good coach. I don't know if they'll do anything in the tournament, but Florida.
Grand Canyon always gives Alabama fits. Yeah, that doesn't mean they'll give Maryland fits. But
So who you got coming out of the West?
I got Florida.
You got Florida. I do too. What do you got?
I wouldn't bet against.
You wouldn't bet against Florida.
Yeah, their defense is going to get them out of trouble if they have a little lull in offense.
They have, they are the.
They have about 15 bigs that can
Big.
play.
Golly, they've got 3 genuine, legit down low post guys that are probably more than that. But I'm just thinking of the Condon, Hanglockton. What do you say his name? Whatever.
Okay.
And then who's the other one?
Well, then they
Howe.
They got the
That
guard
Howe.
that's so good.
Yeah,
too.
Walter Clayton Jr. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've got Florida coming out of that bracket as well. So that's 2 1s and a 2 for me coming out with Alabama, Auburn, and Florida. And then we go to the Midwest where Houston is the 1 seed. The 2 down there is Tennessee, which is playing decent basketball, although they got boat raced by Florida in the SEC championship tournament game. What do you got coming out of there, John?
I got Tennessee coming out.
Do you? Okay. What do you think?
I think I've got Houston, but I hope it's an SEC team. I can put aside I can put rivalries aside and pull for the SEC, and I don't think Kentucky's gonna go. In honor of Mr. Christman, Xavier might beat Texas. I mean Kentucky. Xavier might beat Kentucky.
Yeah,
They
they could.
Texas. And Troy.
There are people who are picking that as an upset.
Troy over Kentucky.
Yeah, people are picking.
That's been an upset special for a lot of people. Is the Troy versus Troy Kentucky, and that being one of those.
I have not seen Troy play.
I hadn't either. I have no idea.
Kentucky.
I've got Houston and Tennessee going to the regional final there. I got Houston beating Clemson in that semifinal of that Sweet 16 game. Was it time already? Wow, we're already at break. Well, and then I've got 4 SEC teams. I got Auburn, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and I went ahead and just did the fun little thing and made it an Iron Bowl national championship. Of course, being an Auburn grad, I had to pick Auburn over Alabama in the national championship game. This state will melt down. If that happens, we won't know what to do with ourselves. All right, we'll be right back with more Lunch with Bryan and Steve. We'll have John Smith on here right after this.
Stop treating your home like a storage bin. Make room for living with Wilson Storage. No matter the need or budget, Wilson Storage has the solution for you. They have gated standard units and climate control units. They have security cameras, alarms on every door, and 24-hour access. You can even rent or pay your bill online. Just go to wilsonstorage.com or call 256-845-1530. Wilson Storage is family owned and been serving our community since 1988. Wilson Storage in Fort Payne.
This is Bryan Jett, Superintendent for Fort Payne City Schools, and you're listening to Lunch with Bryan and Steve.
When you need to give something special, visit Tracy's in North Fort Payne. Beautiful floral arrangements, fresh or silk, stylish jewelry, scented candles and pampering products, cuddly stuffed animals, balloons, and candy. Tracy can help you put together the perfect gift and gourmet basket. Potted plants or hanging baskets with fresh spring flowers. At Tracy's, you're sure to find that unique gift that shows just how much you care. Tracy's is located at 2103 Galt Avenue in North Fort Payne. Open Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 5 and Saturdays from 9 to noon. For every occasion, visit Tracy's full-service florist, personalized printing, and gifts. With summer just around the corner, it's time to schedule your pool opening with Rawson Pools. With 30 years of experience installing, repairing, and maintaining pools, Rawson Pools is your best choice to keep that backyard getaway the envy of the neighborhood. And for all you who enjoy servicing your own pool, Rawson Pool has a supply store stocked with the highest quality products and materials to keep your pool ready for those hot summer days. Rawson Pool and Supply Store is located in Rainsville on Main Street next to Toke Restaurant. Rawson Pool and Supply Store, the pool professionals.
All right, we are back. Lunch with Bryan and Steve. Bryan Northcutt, Steve Chambers here, joined today in our second hour with Fort Payne City Councilman John Smith. Glad to have you here with us, sir.
Glad to be here. Appreciate you asking.
Yeah. So one quick housekeeping item for today. We've got 2 new sponsors. One that I can mention on air, one that will wait until April when they start with us. But Wilson Realty. And so you got some connection there, Steve.
Yeah, I do business with Uncle Randy, so Aunt Merle will be happy.
Really thankful for Randy and the Wilson group coming on board as sponsors here on Lunch with Bryan and Steve. And we're hoping, like I said, last segment, that we're trying to get more sponsors and just try to stay on the air. So far 3 weeks and they hadn't pulled the plug yet.
So you can't. There's one sponsor you can't mention. Was it like a
It's a
fireworks stand in a bordello or something? I don't know. I always thought that would go over in 4 paper. I'm sorry.
Anticipation.
Okay, we'll find out later.
But we will have that sponsor's coming on board. You're going to be excited about that one. We are for sure. So, John Smith with us. So we got a big announcement that just came out. You want to tell us a little bit more about our new store in Fort Payne?
We did. We scored a Marshalls.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Awesome.
I won't have to go there in Chattanooga and Gadsden anymore.
Now, is that one of those stores that my wife makes me go into that's not necessarily a guy's store?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's not men's clothing.
No, I can tell. I do come out with stuff for the grandbabies.
Okay.
They got good stuff.
So what is a Marshalls? How would you describe it?
Marshalls is part of the TJ Maxx family.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's
Is it clothing, primarily
clothing, but they've got a little of everything. They got furniture. They've got.
I got you. So this will be one that Claire goes and
I mean,
furnishes apartments with.
Yeah. You can go in there and get your bed sheets and pillows, and they've got. I guess you call it a gourmet food section.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ah, that's
it's
interesting.
not all bad.
Oh, okay.
It's not all bad.
So,
Yeah,
and
we need to build this up. Don't we?
where is that store going to be?
Going to be at the DeKalb Plaza at the south end of town.
Okay.
And, we've talked about that for, I don't know, over a year, I guess. The developer came to us and asked for help, made an offer, and we countered and settled on a tax incentive for them. And like I say, should be hopefully starting soon. Now there's another, and again, I can't say what this is. There's
You
another
got one that you can't say.
I got another one I can't say.
Can you
That's
just
right.
write it down?
Yeah, write down. Yeah, but another national store is in the works.
Good.
It looks like it's going to be approved. So there's going to be some major work at the South Plaza there, at the
Okay.
Cat Plaza. They're going to tear down and rebuild the same footprint. And I think they're going to try to add on to the back and make some delivery docks and this sort of thing to make it more compatible with the retailers.
Yeah. So you see the big Alabama A. Did you go to school or?
Now I went to UAB.
UAB, okay.
Yeah.
So
The extension.
you excited about the tourney?
Excited, yeah, excited. This doesn't happen too often.
Isn't it weird that suddenly now the
all
state
of
of
a sudden,
Alabama's on the map?
On
And,
fire with basketball. Well, even look at Fort Payne.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Fort
true.
Payne's on the roll too.
Yeah, there's so much that I've been watching over the last couple of years. So I'm always, of course, football, and so I'm watching these guys talk strategy and talk pick and rolls and back screens and rebounding and turnover assist ratio, and it's so hard for me. Can y'all follow basketball, like how the strategy of the game goes? Because that just that confuses me.
The strategy. I know when I was coaching my kids, my son Tyler was always the biggest in the crowd. So my game plan was, Tyler, you get the ball,
Feed it
feed
inside.
it into Chris McElrath. That was our game plan when I coached youth basketball.
That's about my extent of basketball knowledge.
Well, Coach Oates is a math teacher, so
That is true.
you
That's
might,
true.
might actually like him a little bit.
Now, is Alabama going to keep him around, y'all think?
Well, we're gonna try to.
Try
I
to,
imagine,
if we got
but-
enough money. I think somebody will try to get him. No
Yeah.
doubt. I'm not sure the pros. I don't know if he'd want to go to the pros.
What's the rumor right now? Is it? I've heard. Who did I hear? I heard pros. But
Yeah.
Well, we're building a $50 million practice facility, and then down the road they've already got the blueprints for the new
arena.
Yeah.
I think if there was any chance of him leaving before then, I think they'd speed that arena up.
Yeah.
Cause he's a good. He can recruit, and I know there's sometimes he may not use timeouts judiciously or something. But
You save him. You can't save him to the next game. That's
yeah.
right.
But he's just been a head coach for 10 years.
Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
So
For
he's
just 10 years. I didn't
yeah.
know that.
And he's come a long way in 10 years.
Yeah, I know. Is it Buffalo? Was that his first college job? Was Buffalo?
I think
And then
that's
he-
right.
Head coach.
And then he went
Head
straight
coach.
to. Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So what else is going on with the city? I mean, you said something that you can't talk about.
I was going to ask you about a theater. Maybe this is what you're talking about.
Well, we've and I don't understand this theater deal. We have talked, the whole 4 years that we've been there, we've talked to numerous operators, and for some reason, we just can't get them to commit. They all say, they all leave us, well, we're not going to rule it out. But I mean, we've made all kind of incentives to get them here, land and tax benefits and so on, and just, they say that the market timing right now is bad. How can that be? Everybody's going to go to the movie.
And it's like we starved for it. I mean,
Yes.
they've had that same sign up at the old one.
Yeah.
Yes, we will open.
Forever. Had you ever have contact with those people? Are they still alive?
Well, I hadn't talked to them. I think Bryan has talked to them, and the last I heard that it wasn't out of the question that they weren't going to, but I don't know about that.
Well, it looked like they were in the middle of a renovation project, and then
just walked by. I don't know what happened there.
Is this your first this term? Your first
That's my
dabbling
first term.
into
Yeah.
local politics? How's that been?
It's been an eye-opening experience, to say the least.
I think I could have answered that question for you.
That's right.
if you would just say what was on your mind, you'd be well served.
Everybody asks me what I've learned in politics, and I guess I've learned that yes doesn't mean yes and no doesn't mean no.
Yeah.
So here we are.
It is interesting to see. That almost is all. I don't know that I've ever not heard that comment.
Right.
Like I thought it was going to be this, and it turned out it was more like this. And
that Senator Cranston that passed away recently, he was sort of famous saying, "The root of politics, poly is many, and ticks is a bloodsucker."
Absolutely.
Many bloodsuckers.
Absolutely.
Which is certainly not you.
No.
But you deal with that.
Well, it changes. It's a fast moving. We'll have a work session, and it's not unusual for some of us to change our mind when we get to the regular called meeting. So it's pretty fluid right now.
Well,
which I think is good. I think we've had.
Well, you might hear information that you didn't know beforehand.
Yeah, that's right. I think, and there's no secret. I try to voice my opinion. It's always not the most popular thing in town.
The writers love you, though.
Well, I guess so.
Journalism majors.
Well, I think we've got a great council in as far as the conversation goes. Everybody's free to give their opinion, and you got to learn to take the L's. I've taken a few and go on. I think everybody there, we're all there to make Fort Payne better.
Yeah.
And how we go about it, that's usually where we part ways sometimes. But, at the end, you gotta live with it. You just take it for granted, and that's what the majority wants. So that's what we got to make happen.
Yeah. What made you decide to try to just the simple fact of trying to make Fort Payne better? Or?
Yeah. Yes. And yes. I thought my big thing is transparency. I think people should know what's going on at City Hall at every level of government, and I've tried to do that since I've been there. I've kept my Facebook open and tried to post all the information I could, and I've tried to get people. I hope we have 50 people sign up and try to run for city council this coming election.
Have you made up your mind?
No, I've got some more praying to do on that. But, I'm gonna have to do.
I've heard of a few. I've had a couple people.
I've heard some say yay and some say nay.
Right.
I thought I hadn't heard John say anything yet.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Are you still the liaison with the police department?
Well, I'm not on the police committee. That's Walter and maybe Philip, I think.
Okay,
right
but my daughter, lives in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I just love those blue lights you have. Your porch
I
lights to support the blue.
Lifelong first responder. That's what my former life. That's what I did. So, I come at it at I see what these people are going through, and it's not easy. And I think we should support them, and I try to live what I speak.
Yeah. So are you born and raised in Fort Payne?
Born and raised, yes, sir.
Always here?
Always
are you class
here.
of 77 like everybody else?
No, I'm 78.
78, okay, so he's a young boy.
We're going to let you in. But
So, and you've raised two boys through the Fort Payne school system. Are they still here?
No, they're I got two, Tyler and Kyle. Tyler's my oldest. He's coaching and teaching in the Pelham system.
Okay.
And Kyle, my youngest, he's over at Calhoun, Georgia. He's teaches science and wrestling coach, and of all things, tennis coach.
And where did you say that was?
Calhoun, Georgia.
Calhoun. Okay.
Yeah, that's not too far away.
No, it's
Now you weren't
it's-
propelling them against the Wildcats this year, were you?
Well, I got split there.
Yeah. Well, good.
That brings us to our trivia question.
All right.
I
Yeah,
know-
Steve's famous trivia question
I know
for our
both
guests.
your-
Let's see what
both
you got.
your, both your sons were outstanding offensive linemen for Coach Ellis.
Right.
All right. So in 2000, what was Fort Payne's record in both 2006 and 2007
10-0
seasons?
regular season.
That's
Back to
exactly
back.
I remember that.
You get a rib.
That's right.
I'll try
Get
to
a rib.
I'll
That's
try to
left over.
find one I hadn't gnawed on.
That's right. That's right. Well,
All right.
Before that, the year before, season before, whatever that was, 07 or 08, Coach Ellis had toyed with the idea of going to a West Coast offense. He studied, him and the other coaches studied Texas Tech a lot. And they decided before the season we just didn't have the people to do it.
Yeah. Let's talk about that hour after the break. You're listening to Lunch with Bryan and Steve. We'll be right back.
DeKalb Fix-It Appliance Warehouse is a mouthful, so Terry and Bobby have decided to drop the fix-it and focus on giving you the best prices on new appliances. Whirlpool, KitchenAid, Maytag, Amana, LG, Samsung, GE, and more. Up to 75% off retail priced on new, scratched and dent appliances. And as your Electrolux and Frigidaire dealer, DeKalb Appliance Warehouse is passing on more savings to you with even more new in-box selections. Need a refrigerator? Come in today and shop our overstocked warehouse. You will not get a better deal anywhere. We guarantee to match or beat any price. In-house service available to all as well. Used appliances will now be available at our previous location on Godfrey Avenue, along with the same computer sales and repairs our customers have come to enjoy. The DeKalb Appliance Warehouse is open weekdays 9 to 5, Wednesdays and Saturdays 9 to 2, located on Airport Road in Fort Payne.
This is Robbie Coker with the Fort Payne Wildcats, and you're listening to Lunch with Bryan and Steve on WZOB.
Stop treating your home like a storage bin. Make room for living with Wilson Storage. No matter the need or budget, Wilson Storage has the solution for you. They have gated standard units and climate control units. They have security cameras, alarms on every door, and 24-hour access. You can even rent or pay your bill online. Just go to wilsonstorage.com or call 256-845-1530. Wilson Storage is family owned and been serving our community since 1988. Wilson Storage in Fort Payne. My Supply is my hometown hardware store. At My Supply, I never have to wander aimlessly around the store looking for what I need. I know that when I walk through the door, I'm going to be greeted by a person and helped right away. So whether you're looking for plumbing, electrical, hand or power tools, welding supplies, standard or metric fasteners, or anything else to help with your home projects and repairs, shop My Supply on Godfrey Avenue in Northeast Fort Payne. Open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. My Supply, your hometown hardware store.
We are back. Lunch with Bryan and Steve. Bryan Northcutt, Steve Chambers on WZOB Radio, 1250 AM, 100.9 FM, and now Facebook Live again. So far, so good. I shouldn't have said anything.
As long as I
Dang
don't
it.
touch anything.
My bad. Shouldn't have said that. Now we're going right off the air, so we'll
Jinx is
see.
real.
We'll see
Didn't
you
have with
later.
him last week, did it? No, I'm just kidding.
We got most all of Justin in with Facebook Live. That was fun with Justin Christman from Roadside Q the first hour. The second hour, we've got John Smith, City Councilman, here. And we were talking a little bit of Kentucky spread offense, some Hal Mummy spread that Fort Payne almost went to. Finish that story you were talking about with Coach Ellis.
Yeah, they studied that. They were really, really wanting to go to the spread offense a year before we did. But back then, everybody was playing two ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just didn't have the depth to do it, and didn't have, the arms to do it. So they studied it for for quite a while.
The season of 2005.
Yeah, it'd been 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was at
05, that'd be
Opelika.
right.
Or 6, yeah.
Yeah.
I coached at Opelika 97 to 04. No, was it 05? 05. And in 2003, we went to one of those. It was at Gaylord Opryland Hotel, and Texas Tech. What was his name? Mike Leach, was there running that, and they were showing the whole spread offense. And I got up there and started. We shifted over to that at Opelika and went to that spread, and ended up meeting DiLorenzo from Gadsden, who was at Spain Park at the time, and we got connected there. And they wanted me to come up and coach at Spain Park, wide receivers for them. Got to talking to them, and do you know who the offensive coordinator was when he was at Spain Park? Was Bryant Vincent.
Really?
Who went to, from there, he went from Spain Park to Greenville as the head coach, and then went to Spanish Fort as the head coach, and then went to South Alabama as the head coach, and then came back up with Bill Clark and was his offensive coordinator at UAB, and then covered for him when he left. He was the head coach at UAB.
When he's having health issues.
When he's having health issues. And now he's at, Louisiana?
Louisiana Tech, one of the Louisiana.
Yeah, it was one of those Louisiana teams. So anyway, I was going to end up coaching with the guy who's now the head coach at one of those Louisiana schools. That's wild. But so the spread offense wasn't going to work.
Wasn't going to work that year. But off season, that's all we did. Every day in the weight room, we'd get in the weight room and run those plays. We'd walk through those plays.
What was the offense that Ellis ran? What did he run?
Well,
just a straight eye.
His first year was my first year as PA.
Yeah.
Was it?
And it was a bunch of like that. One has anything to do with the other, but we threw a lot more than we did. And I thought, oh Lord, we need to run the wishbone. But we had 2 good running backs.
Yeah.
And a good big old offensive line.
Big
and,
strong line.
So he just did what suited the personnel better.
Yeah.
I can't remember the quarterback.
Then would have been Andy. He graduated, and then Chris quarterback for a little
Andy
bit.
Farmer?
Andy Farmer.
Andy Farmer and who? Chris who?
Chris McElrath.
Okay.
Yeah, he did a little quarterback duty. Let's see. Slade came in
8,
I think.
And then Kyle Crabtree right after him.
Right after him, yeah, Kyle came in.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
If you talk pre 1992, 91, 92, I knew a little bit.
We
after
could have
I
said Tojo Yamamoto.
So what do you think of DeBoer? Is DeBoer gonna make it?
Well, I think so. I think he's more suited to this NIL deal than Coach Saban was.
Yeah. Boy, it's going to be a mess. There's no way.
I just don't understand it. You basically you got a minor league team now.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right. I guess if you're willing to spend the money, you can win the game. So I think that's what it comes to now.
Well, that's what Ohio State, once they got it dialed in, it was
Figured
hard.
it out, didn't they?
Yes. Surely the NCAA will regulate it some way.
Where they're going to have to.
Within reason.
Somebody's going to have, they're going to have some kind of quality control over how things are. Collective bargaining or some kind of contract.
You'd be a multimillionaire now.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Well, I wouldn't have made any money.
Oh, come on.
I'm afraid you're going to see some
kicking.
I could have got a checkers NIL or something like that.
I can see some of the smaller schools just closing their programs. I don't see how they can.
Or the the Title IX stuff's probably going to be threatened as well.
Yeah, I'm sure.
The female sports, they're going to have to cut. They'll cut male programs because they have to cut males at the same level they cut female sports, so they'll just cut them both.
You got to cut the male out of the female sports too now.
That's it.
Sorry,
that's twice already. Steve.
Well,
not that we drift into politics.
Yeah, that to me that's not even politics. That's pretty clear. I don't understand.
It's called abomination.
It is. That's right.
There's no way that you should do that. I don't understand how that's not self-policed. Even if you want to do that, just make an own category and y'all go play over there and then leave the girls alone. That's nuts. Anyway,
talking about Coach Ellis, I think my boys came through high school.
That was on me. Hold on, Steve didn't do that.
So it'll be lunch with John Smith next week.
Tune in tomorrow.
Go ahead. Sorry, I'm sorry. I totally interrupted.
I was just going to say, those days talking about Coach Ellis and everything we were doing, my boys going through there. I think it was a great time, you know, and my boys were influenced, you know, by those coaches and teachers at Fort Payne. You know, we don't know how grateful we should be for our teachers and coaches. I know I always tell everybody that the coaches helped turn my guys from boys into men, and they certainly had an effect on them, you know, with their career choices. They're both teaching and coaches.
Yeah, I agree. And we've said this before when Jet was here 2 weeks ago. We're really blessed to live here. It is a phenomenal community. The area, the tourism, the beautiful creation, the teachers, the administration. I mean, I'm very pleased, and I've texted Bryan Jet several times and said, hey, I appreciate that. I appreciate that whether you agree or disagree with what he's doing, he is attempting to do what he feels is best for Fort Payne and trying to grow and trying to make this flourish. And
absolutely.
There's a picture in Coach Ellis's office said Tyler or Kyle, I'm not sure who had written a note thanking him for everything. Had the O-line, had, you know, Jimbo Terry Fennell, Smith, and then is Kyle or
I think that'd been Kyle.
Had the ball holding
up.
Yeah,
that was a practice before we had the
they were definitely in their practice jerseys, and they were as a big old offensive line.
Big and strong.
Gotta leave Miss Holly's getting on us. Lean into your mic. So she's got to be able to pick us. Can't hear us if you're not into the microphone. So.
Well, when I talk football, I'm all over.
All right. So if we go, let me tell you this: if we go Oklahoma right now, man to man, who's going? You still got it? You still got it, John? Can y'all?
I got 3 plays left in it. I really do. So if it's 4th down, I'm in trouble.
If I can get off the ground, I might go one round.
Yeah.
I don't know if my knees can stand it or not.
We used to do bull in the ring.
Bull in the ring.
Oh my
I think it's illegal now.
Probably.
Frowned upon, at least.
And we can't do that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, when you leave practice every day with something bleeding, you knew you went through a practice.
Oh, and no water? Couldn't drink any water?
No, we had salt tablets.
Yeah, it was terrible. I went through, of course, he's cooking honey buns over during my practice. So
yeah.
Best part about going to Fort Payne.
Marico?
Yeah, I'll never forget that smell.
Not during football practice today. That's terrible. God, it was miserable.
You knew you're thirsty when the cheerleaders bring you water, and all you're looking at is the water.
Right. you know it's rough. It's rough.
That tells you how bad it is.
I didn't know you then, Marthy.
Oh yeah, it's your anniversary. So
yes,
it's Steve's anniversary today. He's going off to beautiful Lake Gunnersville.
That's right.
So.
Well, boy, yeah, we're really kicking it. It's what old people
you splurging there, aren't you, Steve?
You can't sleep because it's a new bed, you know. So we get out on the balcony and watch all the ducks go by. Boy.
You're taking your CPAP?
Yeah.
Well, I've hit that age where if I go to a hotel room, I take my own pillow with me.
I do.
Yeah.
I
do
I
too.
can't stand it.
Yeah. Oh boy. So what else are we going to talk about, Steve?
You bring the Madison? Yeah. Okay.
My arthritis. No, we got to appeal to the younger generation.
Okay.
Quick talk. Say a TikTok or something.
You said that. Now I'm going to talk about the 7.5 meals tax, but I think everybody. Well, I hope everybody understands how important that is.
Yeah, when's that election? We've been told.
May the 6th, I believe.
Okay.
I think May the 6th.
Will we be voting for the candidates as well as the
No,
meals tax?
no,
It's
this
just
is
the
a
meals
special
tax.
Yours
is later, isn't it?
Later in June.
That's it. It's just that.
Just that. It's a special election. It's going to be one polling place. It's VFW or I better not say.
It's one polling place. Yeah.
VFW or
It's one polling place if you're
I can't
for,
remember.
and one polling place
That's
if you're
right.
against.
That's right. People have got to understand that it's critical to us, to our school system.
Yeah.
And it's not a new, it's not a new tax. And
Yeah.
If it was a new tax, I'm a no tax guy.
Yeah.
I voted against every license fee increase, and every time tax comes up, I try to knock that in the head.
Yeah.
But this is critical. We've got to have this thing renewed. Now, I'm going to tell you something that people are not thinking about and probably don't know, but they're going to have to understand. If this doesn't pass, the city, years ago, in 96 or before, whenever they did it, signed an agreement on the bonds that the city would be responsible ultimately.
Yeah.
So if a school board can't pay for this, or it gets defeated and we don't have the millage, we're going to have to make a $500,000 payment for the Little Ridge bond every year. So, that's right now with our budget, it's critical. We don't have $500,000 to throw around.
This bond's paid off Wills Valley, has it?
Yes, paid off Wills Valley, yeah. And all these new look at the culinary program, look at the STEM program.
Yeah.
So let's make sure, just so people who watch this later can see it and talk about it, we're not talking about going to the city and increasing our taxes.
No.
We are not discussing. That's not what this is. It is simply saying we're going to renew a tax that was instituted, was it 30 years ago?
30 years ago.
30-something years ago. And so we're just saying, yes, we want to keep that going to service the school system and to pay for these things that we're getting to enjoy, which is the new school at Little Ridge and things like that. So it's not a new, and listen, you're not going to find, I don't know, you just said you're not a new tax guy. I know you. I know how, you got 4 people in here. We don't want new taxes. No. That is not what this is. So make sure that
we want infrastructure.
We want infrastructure. That's right. That's right.
Something Bryan and I didn't know was controversial.
Here he goes.
Railroad overpass.
Railroad overpass. It all gets tied back together with the rerouting of Highway 35.
Yes,
right.
Sir.
Yeah, that's the purpose behind it.
That's the purpose. That's where it all started. And it's been talked about for years. And
what is the controversy?
Well, the controversy is who's going to pay for it.
Okay.
You're talking about, at this point, we're talking $60-80 million probably today.
Mm-hmm.
And ALDOT, the state Department of Transportation, they've already told us they don't have the money. They don't want to do it. Representative Ledbetter and Senator Livingston have helped us with some plans. So there's some works going on in the background for something. My personal opinion, we need an overpass. I don't understand this Highway 35 reroute. We're going to have to pay. Fort Payne's going to be responsible for at least 10% of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was some controversy over it would hurt the downtown business.
Well, it would, and I don't think any of the merchants are really for it because it would divert traffic. And I think it would hurt Fort Payne as much as it helps. It's going to be one of those things that, it's going to provide growth here, but it's going to take it from here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're ever going to see it.
Really?
Ever. Okay. I don't think. It's certainly not in our lifetime. But overpass, that's a different story. We've looked at a couple of plans and had an engineer draw up some things. And we've got a plan that we've had drawn up a couple of years ago that puts an overpass in the middle of Fort Payne, somewhere in the middle of Fort Payne. Then it was $2 to $3 million, something that we could handle ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether that comes about, I don't know. I don't know what the opposition is going to be to doing that. One of the arguments, well, if you put it here, you're still going to have to drive down here to get to the overpass. I look at it from a first responder. And I told the guys at the city council, I'm the only one that's sitting up here that's had a patient die on them waiting on the train, trying to get across the track.
Mm.
And
that's true. I hadn't thought about that.
That's what I'm coming from. I mean, I know, the fire department spread around. They send out paramedics, but time. There's nothing that can replace time in an emergency.
Yeah.
And to me, this is something that I'd go out on a limb and stay there for it because I think we need an overpass. I don't think we need to reroute 35 if we're going to have to pay $10 million. But I don't think we'll ever have to worry about that.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I came from a community before I moved back here. I'm from here, but moved back here that rerouted a major highway, and diverted it from the downtown area, but it made the downtown area explode because you didn't have the tractor trailers coming through. And so I was always thought, well, that would be, I didn't realize it was a controversy for merchants.
Well, I think they're thinking that the traffic, out-of-town traffic or driving through traffic is going to follow the trucks.
Yeah.
You're going to bypass town.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, was that a break I heard? Okay, we're going to take a break, and we'll come back right after this with Lunch with Bryan and Steve.
Do you need to declutter? Wish you could free up some valuable space at work or home? Helium Mini Storage has climate control units available, and all their units are gated for maximum protection. You can also store your stuff at home with their Four Seasons or Max Steel storage buildings for sale. Just come by Helium Mini Storage on Galt Avenue in North Fort Payne. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 4. And while you're there, be sure to check out play sets for the kids. Store your stuff with Helium Mini Storage.
So long.
Cheers.
Adios.
Bye, Felicia. Don't let the door hit you.
More and more people are saying goodbye to pests with Safe Solutions Plus LLC. And it's no wonder with their top-notch customer service, quality products, and lower prices. And now with their new website, it's never been easier to manage your pest control service with Safe Solutions Plus. Just visit sspestandtermite.com to view your billing details, make payments online, and review past services. Family-owned and operated, Safe Solutions Plus is located at 934 Main Street West in Rainsville. Call 256-638-7378. Safe Solutions Plus, protecting homes and businesses one solution at a time.
Okay, then. Bye.
Okay. Well, we weren't live then. So we're live now, but he said it right before we went live. Lunch with Bryan and Steve. Sorry. Steve Chambers. Oh, boy. Lunch with Bryan and Steve out here with John Smith from the City Council. Did you go see any of the lacrosse games this last weekend?
I hadn't yet. We're going to go.
Yeah, that was really cool. We talked about that earlier in the first hour, and me and my boys and some of my family went over there and watched it. It was really cool. It was really neat.
I like watching it on TV, and I like hockey. I think any sport that you have a stick that you can hit people with.
Absolutely. Let's sign them up. Yeah. And Justin was talking about that how much of that bled into traffic, into food traffic downtown, and people going to his stores late at night, which we were talking about off air with you guys about the sports complex and just all the renovations going on there and about to get the parking lot. How close are we on that?
We're probably going to have to wait till after the youth league baseball.
Okay.
It's what's held us up is we were unable to get lights. There was a delay. They just, everything's still lagging in material wise.
Okay.
So we finally got the lights put in, but then we got stuff going on now. So we're just about gonna have to wait till that's over with to pave it.
Well, it's not a major problem, but I have seen several cars get boxed in because nobody knows how to
park right now. Right.
knows how to park.
Put some signage up there.
First 3 cars set the tone, and then the rest of them
everybody
just
else follows.
The gas.
That's right. I think the sports complex is a huge win for Fort Payne.
Yeah.
It's just unreal that people that Brant Middlebrooks has called about renting it and having tournaments and things like that. It's just gonna.
Has there been a significant increase in the number of tournaments?
Yes. I think he told me that they're booked already through summer, basically.
Is that right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, I know this. When my kids played, I mean, if it had a rain shower any time before 10 o'clock that morning, all the events were canceled, and now you can basically play as soon as it stops raining.
Yeah.
So that it's extremely nice. I know there's a lot of controversy in adult sports and in pro sports about the impact of those fields on knees and stuff, but I don't think at the level that our kids are playing at, there's a lot of torque and twisting and things like that. So it's a little bit easier on them to play.
The turf.
A lot of pro teams are going back to natural grass just because of injuries from the turf and the grabbing their cleats and having knee injuries and things like that. But that's at a level where there's a lot of pressure being put on those knees.
They come a long way from the AstroTurf in Houston back in '68.
You fall down and just not have any skin left on your legs when you fall.
I didn't realize. Did you know, this is a real strange fact, that when they redid Legion Field, they took that turf and put it over in Lawson Field. And we played, when I was coaching, we went up and played Huffman back when Andre Smith was playing there. And we played on that field. I was like, this field looks familiar to me.
Yeah, run away from Andre.
Yeah. He's a big boy.
We played Parker there.
Played Parker there.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay, so y'all had seen it too. I didn't know that until I'd gotten there.
Scary place to play.
Yeah.
Going in was bad enough.
Y'all get on the bus. Let's go on to the
When the
house.
police tell you we're going to turn the lights out in 5 minutes and you're on your own,
Yeah,
it's time to go.
it's like those were fireworks, right? Firecrackers? No.
Gosh, we should have won that game.
Yeah.
Man,
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
shoulda, coulda.
Yep. That's what they all say, isn't it?
I remember when we went through a metal detector and
Yeah.
and Martha confessed to the Kennedy assassination. She was like, "Oh my gosh!" Oh. And she's just
I promise I'm okay.
Yeah, she was like 2 years old when that happened.
So we got new traffic light. We got new marshals. We've got lots of discussions. I know you say you can't. There's a couple things you can't talk about,
the
but
Badcock building,
Yeah.
Badcock Furniture Building. We've got a developer on it that we should be wrapping up negotiations and being able to tell soon. There's a lot of growth going on.
yeah,
But there's a lot of infrastructure needs, and I think we've addressed them to the best of our ability. When we first came in, we were losing employees. I think an employee is infrastructure too. We were losing employees to surrounding towns because our pay scale wasn't enough. And the equipment was worn out, hadn't been replaced. Some of that stuff you can't kick down the road but so
Yeah.
long. And we've made an effort to get our pay up, so we got people staying with us now. There's no turnaround like there used to be. We've got plenty of people, got good CDL drivers. We've made a lot of equipment purchases for sanitation and police and fire.
yeah.
And it's been exciting. Sewer. Nobody wants to talk about sewer.
But you gotta have it.
Sewer. Well, y'all know you've been living with it out here. If you don't have a
We've been
sewer.
living with a sewer.
That's right. If you don't have a sewer system, nobody's coming to Fort Payne.
No. That's a big one.
We got away with it when the hosiery industry left. So didn't need that much capacity for the sewer system. But now that the growth has started, it was taxing it. We've had pumping stations that went bad, and we've just had to do it.
Yeah. If you ever ride around town and just start thinking about what's going on underneath you, there's a lot.
A lot of
Do
going
you
on.
really do that?
Well, every now and then you'll see a station, and then you start
When some-
imagining like this house, that house, this house. These are all funneling to here. Like it's going somewhere.
And you see a geyser.
Yeah, we're in a position that we're really going to do some catching up on infrastructure with AlDOT going to remill or build and repave Galt Avenue from northwide to southwide.
Oh wow!
Sometime this spring or early summer is the last we heard.
That's a big one.
And we're going to increase our city paving budget significantly. So I think if we get those two things done, it's going to be a big improvement. It's going to really help Fort Payne, get us back to where we need to be.
So do you feel like what you've done is kind of what you had sort of had hoped to do in running for
yes,
this?
I do. I think the infrastructure needed a lot of work. The personnel, support for the fire, EMS, police, that was big on my list, and I think we've accomplished that. I think we've done a lot of things like the sports complex and bringing the retail stuff in here. I think that makes quality of life a lot better.
For sure.
I'm excited. I think we've done a good job. Now, there's, if we had more money, we could do more, but sadly we don't. So this incoming city council is going to have to really watch what they're doing.
When
That's
you're recruiting industry and restaurants or whatever, do you take consideration? Okay, Fort Payne's got 15,000 people, or DeKalb County has 65 or 70,000.
The hardest thing to do, and we've run into this. We're trying to get people to go up at the 222, the north exit up here. Everybody wants to get on 35 corridor. We can't get them to understand. People in Fort Payne will drive.
It's just 4 miles.
It's just 4 miles. Yeah.
Oh, they will.
Yeah.
And that's a significant portion of the
is.
population that lives
Absolutely.
up there that would.
And I think we're getting to the point now where we need to be a little more selective on who we recruit in.
That's a good problem.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, it is a good problem. You don't want to oversaturate, and hurt the businesses that you've helped or supported. But I'm excited. I think the future, growth-wise, is great for Fort Payne. And just like Justin in here, Justin's a great success story.
Absolutely.
In Fort Payne.
Yeah, well, that's the stories that we want to tell on Lunch with Bryan and Steve. John, thanks so much for dropping by. We really enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed it. I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, and hopefully you guys got some information out of that. We're going to take a break. We'll come back and wrap up the show. As soon as we get back from this break, you're listening to Lunch with Bryan and Steve.
Yep.
Stop treating your home like a storage bin. Make room for living with Wilson Storage. No matter the need or budget, Wilson Storage has the solution for you. They have gated standard units and climate control units. They have security cameras, alarms on every door, and 24-hour access. You can even rent or pay your bill online. Just go to wilsonstorage.com or call 256-845-1530. Wilson Storage is family owned and been serving our community since 1988. Wilson Storage in Fort Payne. When you need to give something special, visit Tracy's in North Fort Payne. Beautiful floral arrangements, fresh or silk, stylish jewelry, scented candles and pampering products, cuddly stuffed animals, balloons, and candy. Tracy can help you put together the perfect gift and gourmet basket. Potted plants or hanging baskets with fresh spring flowers. At Tracy's, you're sure to find that unique gift that shows just how much you care. Tracy's is located at 2103 Galt Avenue in North Fort Payne. Open Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 5 and Saturdays from 9 to noon. For every occasion, visit Tracy's full-service florist, personalized printing, and gifts.
All right, we're back. Lunch with Bryan and Steve. Bryan Northcutt, Steve Chambers, wrapping up our third episode. We made it, Steve, to 3.
We'll make it into April.
So we're so glad that you guys decided to join us, and maybe you're watching this on later on an archive on either YouTube or Facebook. We're glad that you joined us. Had Justin Christman in studio first hour, John Smith second hour. Just to tease out next week, can we go ahead and tease that out, Holly?
Yeah,
Since we went big. Like Jameis Winston said, if you're going to do it big, then.
Jameis Winston's coming. Oh, I'm sorry.
That would be something. We're going to have the mayor, Brian Bain's going to be in studio next week. So it'll be spring break for the kids. So I've got to come back from vacation a little bit early just to do do the broadcast, just for you, Holly.
So dedicated.
That's so dedicated. Well, if Steve can show up on his anniversary date, I can show up during spring break.
There you go.
So
That's it.
we'll be back with Brian Bain in studio next week. We're going to talk a little bit about Fort Payne and a little bit about CAC plays and his acting, his thespian experience.
Pardon?
That's acting.
Acting. I went to the CAC play. It was
Yeah, it was
great.
very good.
Oh,
It was-
what's Jameis Winston's record at Fort Payne?
Would that be 0-1?
It would be 0-1. How about those Wildcats?
There you go. That's,
But you could tell, hey, that guy's going to be good.
I could
he
tell
was a
the-
sophomore
I
at
could tell the way you were asking.
Hueytown. Was it Hueytown?
Yes.
We played
yes.
him
You know, Coach Elmore coached him at Hueytown.
Really?
Did you know that?
We can tell, man, that guy's really good.
He is. He's still a pretty good quarterback, even as crazy as he is.
Yeah.
And he's real crazy.
He's got that look.
So anyway, next week we're gonna have Brian Bain. We're gonna try to keep expanding the program. Hope you guys will stay with us and keep joining us. Tell your friends, subscribe, look at everything, check it out on Facebook, check it out on YouTube. Let us know how we're doing. There's my alarm that says it's the end of the show. We're glad to hear. Thank you, Holly. Good job getting us back online.
Thanks, Holly.
And you have been listening to episode number 3 of Lunch with Bryan and Steve. We'll see you next week.